Hello, my coding family. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's Thursday? Can you guys hear and see my starting screen? Yay, awesome. Oh my goodness. All right. Hey, Emily, you were here first. Hey, Melissa, go kart. Good to see you. Hey, Marcy. Thank you for the YouTube likes. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, Carrie. Hey, Emily. Hey, Pearly. You passed your test. You took it this morning. Aw. That's awesome. I've been spouting your name for 2 days, waiting on you to take that exam. My goodness. Yay. Awesome. I just had to take a picture of that. Congratulations, Pearly. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Everybody hit the congratulations little button. Fantastic. That's awesome. I bet you could have done it without me. I know you could have. You can do anything. I'm so proud of you, though. That's awesome. I know you've been working really hard, participating in all these lessons. Fantastic. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, Emily. Ada, good to see you. Carrie takes her test tomorrow afternoon. She's scared to death, but ready to jump into it. Awesome. Congrats. Does Pearly have any suggestions on anything that she may have seen that I've never mentioned before? I don't know. Like anything shock and awe you on the exam? Usually the first 2 questions are super crazy tough. Just ignore them and move on to the next questions, but don't let things drive you too crazy. No, I drove an hour to the test site because I didn't want to have any troubles with the internet at home. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Marcy is taking hers on the 31st. So we had Pearly passed. We had Phil take theirs on the 15th. I got to see how they did. XO July. Pete is in June. Jen is on the 24th. Rose is on the 30th. Marcy on the 31st. Val, May 25th. Cynthia does on the 24th. On the 24th. Carrie said she's worried about her external webcam, as it is a plugged into my laptop that has an internal camera, and I'm afraid they are going to compete. We will see. You can play around on the AAPC's website, and actually it'll turn on your webcam so you can see what it looks like on your end for the exam taker too. There's a way to do that. It'll test the speed of your internet. It'll test to make sure you don't have any pop-up blockers and other things. Yep. Let me pull up the link. File, open, links, my link page. the requirement page. Copy. Bring this back up. Paste. Let's go to here and let's go to no, that's that. That's that. That's that. Okay, let me get there. And that open up. Yep. Let's go here. Those are the videos. If you're going to do it live remote proctor exam, then you're going to watch all these videos. And then this is where you'll go for the testing site thing.
Welcome to the AAPC
Diagnostic testing. Domestic.
The allowed materials will vary depending on the
Scheduling your exam, rescheduling your exam, setting up your measuring account, scheduling, rescheduling, connecting to your proctor. Yeah. All that will definitely help. And when you are setting up your account on the measure site too, it has some training stuff that also goes through your computer and make sure that it's all set up and ready too. So their videos here will show you all
to read
about
this email
that
in detail.
on where it's at too. So be sure and check that out. Did I post it in the chat? Yeah, I did. I posted the link in there. See, I'm going to go to that site. I never done it on the computer with only the old version. Super nervous. It will be stressful. Just know it's going to be stressful that day. Just be ready to know that it's just going to start off very stressful. But don't worry. You've got all the time in the world. Your time does not start at your appointment time and when you get logged on and start the Zoom session with your proctor. The time does not start until they get your books look through, your camera position correct. They go over all these rules, and then they'll ask you, do you want to start your exam? And then they'll turn the screen over to yourself. That's when your time starts. So don't worry the whole time you're talking to the proctor that you're thinking that time is going by on your exam. 4 hours does not start until they turn the exam on and it's on your screen. So don't stress. Let it take as long as it takes for the proctor to get happy with your camera, with your books, with your desk position, with scanning your room, with scanning under your desk, under your chair, all that stuff. Don't worry about all that. Just let it happen. I've had them change light bulbs in my bedroom, so, you know, whatever. Let it happen. Yeah, I kept my laptop internal camera just covered. It has a little slide, and I just kept the slide covered. It never did have any issues. Hey, Samantha, good to see you. What do you need, dear? I did take some notes, and as soon as I got in the car to share, but going out for dinner with hubby, aw, yay, no worries. You can always email me, Pearly, too. Congratulations so much. Have a great dinner. So thrilled for you. Absolutely. Those are good videos. You don't like your side profile? Aw. let's see. I've taken the CPC test and always get 57. What do I do? My goodness, 57. And you're not getting any better each attempt. Have we, Leanne also? Yes, I have suggestions. I do. Marcy for the 4th time. Okay. So, let's see. Let me bring up tonight's questions. Let me get to that. Where's my... There we go. So, I know, Samantha, you're in all of my lives. You're in all of them, or you're replaying them, because I see your name everywhere. So, when you're... I gotta plug up my camera. During these live lessons... Sorry, let me get this camera plugged up. Do you have the study guide? Also, I need to know that. Add camera, add. Add video capture device, okay. Yep. Okay, Samantha, email me at medicalcodingbyjen.com. Just say, hey, this is Samantha, and let me see what I can do for that part. But I do have a suggestion, but I'm not going to say it over the internet. Be sure, and every single time we go over a practice exam question, if we're talking modifiers is our question, then you're going through your book and you've noted anything that might have to do with a modifier, like an example of, what's an example of 78? What's an example of 76? What's an example of 52? What would be an example? An example of 22 modifier is 2 hours spent doing some lysis adhesions. That's just something that I've written down here. Every single little example I can think of. If they had to, they started out as a scope, but then they ended up having to do a removal and they couldn't use the scope, we had to do an increased procedure also. That's also an example of 22. Are you adding everything that we talk about in all of my lessons, an example down in the book on these pages so that you have those examples later on? Also, any dates or laws that I go over, I write in the very beginning of my book so that I've got the dates here. I also have stuff about resident physicians or joint commission, anything that's weird or obscure law, like who takes care of prosecuting criminal privacy laws. It's the Department of Justice. It's a weird, obscure one. What else do I have here? The Office of Inspector General. They do independent reviews. of IROs. That might be more of a CPMA question. Residence equals GME equals graduate medical education. Incident 2 does not apply in hospital setting. LCD means reasonable and necessary. And then I've got examples of fraud right there, and then I have examples of abuse right there. Do you have all that kind of stuff listed? OIG does telefraud. There's another date. HIPAA was founded in 1996. I kind of keep all that stuff in the very beginning. OIG does the work plans, stuff like that that's super helpful right before the E&M section. And then, of course, making sure that the question on when a code is released and then when it is effective can switch. So when I'm doing that particular question that might be on the exam, I make sure. And then in the E&M section, every single one of my E&M questions that we go over, I'll do a little example, like a 5-year-old drowning, EMS, CPR, continued by the ED, the ER doctor. We did an endotrach, we did intubation, we did a central venous placement, 1 hour, critical care time. What would be my answer? So I've got 4 codes there listed with any modifiers that are needed. And it's there. I've got another example here. I got another example here. I got more. They're just everywhere, all over the E&M section. So that every time I do something, I've got an example. This ICD-10 book, I'm marking it up so I can just take pictures for you guys of the examples that I have written in here because I can't remember where I put them all. But as we're doing practice exam questions in ICD-10, when I make more notes for you guys, I've got them all tabbed just so I can remember what page I wrote them on, and then I can go back and take pictures. Do you have every single one of our lessons examples even inside the ICD-10 book so that you can go back and use it during your exam? This is a patient with generalized osteoarthritis, multiple sites with a contusion. We're going to do the M15 first and then the K59. And I could go to the K59 and find that example written out there too, so that I have it in both places, because you never know during my exam if I'm going to end up at the M code first or the K code second. So I always write the examples twice or 3 times or 4 times, depending on how many codes they have in each example. So this one is an left complete chronic non-traumatic rotator cuff tear, arthroscope, subchromial, whatever, deep compression with mini open rotator cuff repair. How did they code this? They code it with an M75 and they used a 23412 CPT code. Even though this is a CPT code and a diagnosis, I wrote them there, and then I could go to the CPT code and it will have the same example there with the diagnosis code, so that if I end up in the CPT book, I can still find the diagnosis code that would have gone with it. I'm just wondering if you have as many examples as I've ever gone over during our live lessons, every single exam question in your book so that you can reference them. Sometimes the books can get too wordy, where you have too much notes or scratching out or things that you found out that was wrong, and then you can't read your notes. So you got to be careful. But I'm just wondering, how are your notes? How are your notes in your book? Because if you've got enough to reference during your exam, maybe that would help. And then how are your one-word differences? You can't do that with the E&M codes, but everything else, how are you doing with your one-word differences underneath all of the CPT codes? Do you know what your differences are between everything? This one's a biopsy. This one we're stripping away something. This is frontal. This is splendoid. I know for first I got to figure out which sinus am I in. Am I in splendoid or am I in frontal? And then what am I doing? A biopsy or am I stripping? Am I doing transorbital? Am I doing the brow? Am I doing whatever? I got gnat in here. I had to go kill it. Let me check back on the chat here and see what I've missed. Miss Leanne. Who am I doing? I got Samantha is now an official duck. So is Leanne. Is a duck. Who else? Marcy. Marcy's a duck. I've heard of people taking it 16 times is the most I've heard. Cynthia takes hers Friday the second time. I failed my first attempt, but it's okay. I'll do it again. Yeah, I was fine with failing it the first time. I wasn't even trying. I just wanted to copy the codes down and figure out why they picked those codes out of any other codes in the book. Elizabeth is also a duck. 68, she's so close. What I seem to notice is that they give you the answer. I don't know. The code there at least two times, and the difference for each section. It wants to know if you need to add it or not. Yep. So close, Elizabeth. No, ma'am, I need it to get your study guide. Now I'm going to study hard again and attempt it maybe in July or August. That was Elizabeth. July, August. Here's y'all the first question. While I'm working on this one, let me get rid of my camera. Put it over here. There's y'all the first question to work on while I'm still working on chat. I need to study and take this test quick before they make it fill in the blank. I know, Virginia, that's right. I don't have examples on modifiers. Modifiers are a big part of the exam, big part. We get books at the exam center. We don't carry our own books, correct. Some of the people that are taking them overseas, the exams overseas, get blank books for the exam day. But I can tell you, you have your own books at home. And as you're going through these guidelines, like our guideline for code also, they talk about it in the guideline where code also notes instructions that 2 codes may be required to fully describe a condition. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but what does it look like inside your index and in the tabular list? If you don't know, you need to go find out. So what I do is write the page numbers of where I can find it, of an example of where it's at. So in my alphabetical index, just the first one, we can go to 333, and we can find an example of what it would look like to see that guideline in person in the book, and right there under epileptic it says see also epilepsy. Then I can go to page 604 in my tabular list and see what it looks like at the actual code where it's at. 604. If you haven't gone through the guidelines and really looked into seeing exactly what the guidelines are talking about, and then looking to see exactly what it looks like inside your book, you're missing out on some really great helpful information. So this is what see also means. And I know that's very elementary, but it's super helpful to go through every guideline, put page numbers of where that would be and what it would look like in a tabular or alphabetical list, and then what it looks like in the tabular list, because it could be totally different the way it appears. Sometimes it's not in the tabular list or the alphabetical list, sometimes it's in the external cause list, right? So we've got all these 4 different indexes in the front of the book that correlate with different guidelines, and making sure you mark them here, and then you also mark them back in the back of the book where the codes are located is just invaluable, instead of just leaving it all up there in just the front of the book with the guidelines. That's another thing that's super helpful, because you'll start to memorize things and at least recognize them during an exam. Even if you don't get your own books, I often use blank books when I'm doing stuff with you guys, and purposely don't have my notes showing so that I can show you how to do it without any notes in these books, because I don't redo my notes in every single section every single year, because that would just take me forever. It's super tedious, and a lot of sections don't get any new codes worth rewriting the whole section. So you can do these questions without having any notes if you know what to look for. One cool thing about the lab and path section is something that I wish they did in all the sections, is the first thing you should be clearing when you're doing a lab and path question is look up here and see if your question is labeled. Like, if you're here on this page, are we doing microbiology? Or are we doing chemistry if your code answer is here? Or am I doing an analysis? Every one of the lab and path pages is labeled as to what you're doing. This is pathology. So that's the first thing you need to clear. This is immunology. Am I doing an immune question? Am I doing microbiology question? Am I doing an analysis, or am I doing pathology? That will help you figure out what type of answer you're doing. Every single section of the CPT book has headers like that that you can clear. Like, a lot of the radiology is, first let's do plain radiological x-rays of everything, and then we'll start to do CT scans, and then we'll do CTAs, we'll throw in an angiography with it, and then we'll move on to the MRIs, or MRAs, and then we're done with the elaborateness that we could have taken all of these x-rays, and then we start over with plain films again, and then we end up with CTs again, and then we end up with MRIs and MRAs. They all have a pattern. One thing is super helpful is to label the top of your pages. What body part am I doing? This side, this column is doing chest. This side, this column is doing spine and pelvis. If my answers are on this side, then I know I'm only supposed to be coding a spine or pelvis. Any codes on this page are chest x-rays. You can eliminate answers quickly by knowing what header you're under. Urology is the same way. If you notice your chapter in urology also starts out with everything being in kidneys. Every procedure, super small, super minuscule procedure will start out with probably like a kidney biopsy. And I have this page all labeled as just kidneys. The red headers are super helpful. If you have a couple of answers here and then you have a couple of answers here, then you're in different body parts. The body part might not be listed on this page. You may have to go back a couple of pages to find it, but you're just looking for the red header. Right here, bladder. Bladder is everything on this page, that page, this page, that page, until you get to another red header. Super helpful. The pages before this are all ureter because we're under the red header of ureter. Everything before that is all kidney, and you know that because of those red headers. Clear your red headers. Is my procedure or my question asking about a kidney? Is it asking about, you may go through the ureter to repair something in the bladder. That doesn't mean you code anything in the ureter. What are you fixing? What are you repairing? I'm fixing something in the bladder, but I'm going through the ureter. Well, I know I'm not fixing anything in the ureter, so I'm skipping all those. I'm coming over here to the bladder ones. This is where I see a lot of people going and getting things wrong, is because they hyper focus on the CPT code and the CPT code descriptor of every one of the answers, and that's not what you should do first. Ignore that and bundle your codes by headers first. What's the header of each one of your codes? If they're all under the same body part, then great, you can go to the individual CPT code descriptors. But most of the time, 2 of the answers will be under one body part and 2 of the answers will be under another body part. You can quickly get yourself down to a 50-50 shot by doing that. Same thing for your E&M codes. Patient status is very tricky. A lot of times they like to add in a ton of history in these E&M questions. Like we have a patient who was consulted in the ER about being admitted. The ER doctor wanted this heart doctor to come over and say, what do you think? Do you think they really need to be admitted or should they not? Cardiologist says, sure, let's admit them. They need to be admitted. That ER doctor does the admission and is the admitting physician, orders up a bunch of stuff, and gets the patient seen and put into a patient's room. That cardiologist bills a subsequent hospital visit for their consultation because it was done at admitting. There's a lot of tricky, different, weird guidelines in E&M that are just crazy. And all that fluff that they put into the questions are meant to distract you. And any time You have practice exam questions in E&M. Writing the examples out down here is super helpful. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, at least 14, 15, 16 on one page of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 codes. There's just 5 codes on this page. So anytime you do a practice exam question, write a little bit about it. Third visit to a hospital room, low MDM. Seems redundant, but it's a 99231, right? Seen yesterday. ICU critical care, other day, staff management. They all mean subsequent hospital visit. Anytime you're managing a patient who was admitted yesterday, it all turns into a subsequent hospital visit. Usually no one gets a consultation. Usually everybody is either a new patient or they're subsequent. Just adding in as many examples as you can is super helpful for the exam. Let's see, Samantha. Did anybody get an answer for the first question? Oops. I don't see it yet. Let's see. I don't know if you could see that. Probably not because it's a glare. But it's just my name, Medical Coding by Jen at gmail.com. The whole thing, Medical Coding by Jen at gmail.com. Last person to email me was Taj and Sarah, Roxanne, Tamerlane, Stephanie. Yeah. All right. Let me see what we got there on this one. Everybody's got C. How do you know when to put a specific body part on the page? Yeah. Look at those red headers. So right here, we've got shoulder. Shoulder should be written right here. All the way on every page until you hit another body part. There's humerus. Now, from here up is shoulder. Here down is all the humerus. And then that goes until you hit another red header. Now we're under forearm and wrist. All these codes are under wrist. What book is this? That's a 2023 book. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Because I know I updated musculoskeletal for 2024. I spent so much time on this record. I finally updated this one this year, and boy, it was rough. It's such a long chapter, but all you got to do is go find your red headers. Everything is a body part. Everything, no matter where you're at, really. Everything inside your cardiovascular, you need to mark whether it's arterial or venous. Every single question. You also need to mark up whether you're left or right part of the heart. That is super helpful. A lot of the codes are just arterial. You can look in your question and see if you're arterial or Are you venous or ventricular? Most of your codes are separated by that first. Just knowing whether you're in a vein or an artery is easy. And then if you're in a combo, if you're in both, and if you are in both, then you know it's one of these codes and it's not one of these that's all by itself. And you can tell that in the exam questions. That's half your battle. And then the other half of the battle is, see this one, I don't have it marked up yet. This is 33992. That's in the left side of the heart, right? Some of them are in right and left, but most procedures are in the left. This one, the 92, is in the left part of the heart. Look at your 95. 95 up here is in the right side of the heart. So is the and then the 90 goes over to the left, and then the 91 is just in the left again. So the only one that's in the right is the 95. 90 is in the left, 91 is in the left. Knowing those little differences is how you pass that exam. Am I in a vein? Am I in an artery? Am I right or am I left? I just don't have this section marked up yet. And the right and left part is something new that I found this year. Super helpful for the exam. Digestion, I did that one last year. That section is really good. And last year's notes, what do I have inside here? All the digestion, of course, is always same thing. Everything here is lips. And we always start out with biopsies and excisions, then we do repairs, then we do incisions and excisions and more repairs. Then we move on to another body part, tongue, floor of the mouth. Start out with incisions, then we do excisions, then we do repairs, then we do other procedures, then we have another body part. Then we start out with incisions again, then excisions, and then other procedures. Then we have another body part. Then we do incisions again, then we do an excision. Did I remove something, or did I just cut into something, or did I fix something? That will definitely tell you which set of codes are the correct answer if you've got your correct body part. Just clear those body parts before you even start to worrying about the CPT code and the descriptor. Because if you're just going from descriptor to descriptor, they're going to pick two different repairs. There's some repairs, there's some repairs, and there's some repairs. But this is under the salivary gland. This repair over here is in the palate. This repair right here is on the mouth floor. Where are you located? If you're in the mouth floor, your answer is this one. If you're in the palate, your answer is this one. And if you're in the salivary glands, then your answer is this one. So just knowing your body parts and looking for those headers will help you during your exam. Thank you, Ada. Even if your book is blank, for Elizabeth and others that have to do it with a blank book in Indonesia or Bali or whatever, then you guys can do this. You just have to practice doing your questions within a little bit less than 2 minutes each, but also remembering to look for your red headers first. One set of answers will be under this answer, one set will be under the other one. Just remember to look for your red headers. That'll help you get rid of wrong answers. Are the red and blue the main title What do you mean by main title? Hey, Jen. Hey, Jen. Medical coding is what's up. Are the red and blue the main headers or gray? In cardiovascular, that's not really a main header. Let's see, our main headers in cardiovascular are still the red. We're doing procedures in the heart or pericardium, which is around the heart, for these. So these procedures are in the outer layers of the heart, the pericardium, right? So the important thing is to know whether you're doing it percutaneously, which is under the skin, how old the patient is, and whether you're using radiology or not. This one is no radiology. This one we're using ultrasound. This one's for a congenital birth defect. This one's using CT scan. So sometimes it just depends on what's going on with the code sets. Cardiology is a whole nother wax and ball, but pericardium means that outer layer surrounding the heart, right? We're still under the heart and pericardium, but we've switched. Instead of dealing with the pericardium, now we're just doing a tumor. So the next set of codes under the blue are dealing with tumor removals or something like that. And then we've switched again, and now we're doing transmyo, so muscle revascularization. So now we're doing something in the muscles, probably around the outer side, and we're making sure that they're got a good blood supply, right? So the procedures will change with the blue, right? Now we're switching and doing a different procedures. Now we're doing pacemakers and defibrillators. The main thing is whether you have multiple, dual, or single leads, and marking those up is super helpful. Also knowing whether your procedure is open or percutaneously. If your item is permanent or temporary. There's a lot of things to mark up here in cardiovascular, but the first thing that I do, starting with the pacemakers, is start circling things that are venous, ventricular, or vein in blue, and then if they're arterial in red. That way I know that this code, the 06, is only dealing with arteries, the 07 is only dealing with ventricular, or 08 is my combo doing arteries and veins. That's the most helpful. The other thing I should be marking up is whether they're permanent or temporary, right? Because that's our differences between these codes. Really getting in here and looking around. They're both insertion, they're both new emplacement, but one of them's permanent and one of them's temporary. They're both, well, this one's a electrode, this one's a pacemaker, so that's helpful. These two are both electrodes, but my one little word difference, we're at 33210 and 33211. Insert, insert, replace, replace, temporary, temporary, transvenous, transvenous, single and dual. That's my difference. This is single, this is dual, and that's what I will write. I go through every single one of those codes and just look and figure out why is it different from everything else on this page, and what would be the one thing that I would need to know in a practice question to make a difference with this question. This one is existing leads. If the patient already had a system already put in and we're just replacing the battery, that's all we're doing right there with this one. But you can do it without the notes if you're familiar with every section and you know exactly what to look for, like with cardiovascular, artery, vein, temporary, permanent, right and left side of the heart. Those are the four major, 5, 6 major things that I know I have to look for between all these codes, but you only have 2 minutes. Yeah, you got to learn your layout of the book. That's a great way of saying it. Each section has a different layout and a different pattern, but it's still all the same. We're still in the pacemakers and the defibrillators. We haven't changed procedures until we get here. And now we're doing electrophysiological procedures, right? These are doing the ablations to get the nerves acting correctly. We'll burn away some of the nerves and get the ones that misfire wrong. So they'll have different types. All of these are atrial. That's helpful, but why are they different? This one does not have a bypass. This one's limited. This one also does not have a bypass, and this one does include the bypass. One more thing to look for is some things are without things, and I hate that they have the word in them. So when it is without something, I draw a line through it so that I know that it does not include it, and that really alerts me to know that that's one thing I got to look for. Then over here we've got one ventricular one, and then we have another one starting over with atrial, 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 atrial. Then we've got valves being replaced. Those procedures are all for different valves. Are you in a tricuspid valve? Are you in a pulmonary valve? Or are you in, there's another valve somewhere, a mitral valve. Mitral valve's header is on a separate page away from the codes that it affects. The mitral valve doesn't start till way over here, and there's no header to say this is mitral. So moving that header to right here before the 33418 is super handy dandy for your exam. You know all these codes are all for mitral. Then the next set is for tricuspid, and then the next set, which aren't even on this page, will be pulmonary. So you got to move another header over here so that you know that these are just for pulmonary valve replacements. First thing to look through in your question is what type of valve did I replace? Is it this one, or this one? Because they're going to pick the same code with the same descriptor, except for it will be under a different valve. And if you don't know that they're under a different valve, you're going to look at these descriptors and they're all going to seem like they're the same. Both are percutaneous. They're both transcatheter. They're both going to the same location, it looks like. But the difference is the header. Let's see if you guys were right on C. You are right on C. What about this one? Subheaders, yes. Different procedures. Different types of procedures. I've learned so much about the layout of the book. I took a test at Measuring Center in, oh nice, in India. Lovely. I want to go visit there one day. I would just love to. The rude American, but I would love to. I would love to. I just don't want to be, I don't want to appear to be rude, but I would love to. I would love to. I listened to Oprah's book, The Covenant of Water. It just, the food descriptions alone in that book have me just salivating. It's so amazing. I want to go. I want to go so bad. You're going through pocket prep. It is. Plus the pocket prep. If you have AAPC's books, the ICD-10 and the Hit Picks, it shows you where the answers are and really does get you to knowing how to utilize your book. Also, if you haven't yet, there's a page in the front of the CPT book that says the instructions for how to use this code book. You'd be surprised how informative that is. If you take that and read that, it's a really good read, and it gives you examples of how the book is set up and what all the headers and all this stuff means. It's a good read. Be sure and read that page. I had all the ones that I turned them in to be fixed. I'm assuming they did fix them. I gotta go look back. Come and stay at my home. Ah, thank you, Elizabeth. I would love to. Would love to. I really do. We do plan on doing some traveling. Absolutely. Let's see. We're doing a diseased appendix, so it's not ruptured. So where is the appendix? These are really cool because you can't do the process of elimination with these. You just got to go find appendix listed underneath one of these, because they got all those different body types underneath it. So if you're just looking at it with just your eyes, it would be 300. But they are asking for a microscope, so you know you're not A. A does not include a microscope. It is C. This one, for the cystic fibrosis, oh, it is a hard one. Let me see, is that really big enough for you guys? Let me get rid of my camera. It makes me want to do more duck classes for you guys on Fridays. That I've got some little ducks here that haven't passed yet. There we go. Make that bigger so that you guys can see. But I don't know when everybody could get together and would be a good day. We got Sam, Leanne, Marcy, and Elizabeth. What day of the week is good for you guys to do a duck class with me that would sort of be like a one-on-one, but I'd be one on 4 or 5 or 6 of you guys, and we could do more practice exam questions. Anybody got a vote for what day and time? I need to have a survey or something put up. You need it as well, Amy. Ada. Sam says any day. Leanne says any day. Ada is taking hers on June. June 3rd. June 3rd. Patrice misses the duck classes too. I take mine next month. It's a 2-hour class where I used to have them, and we would do advanced CPC exam questions, and they'd be questions that I'd try to find or create that were extra tricky so that when you got there, everybody got the answer wrong, and then I'd show you how you could get the answer correct, and we'd have a good discussion over those. It's 2-hour lessons. They used to be on Friday mornings, but I had to switch my schedule because the boys don't have school anymore on Fridays, and they go half days on Monday. I don't know what kind of high school schedule that is, where they only go 3 days a week, but I had to switch my work schedule to where I did 4 10s so that I didn't have to work on Fridays either. So anyway, I'm retiring at the end of this month and will be able to just not work anymore. So that will be great. But the kids are going to be out of school. Next week is their last week of school, and then they're going to be home. So I was planning on starting back up with the duck classes and one-on-one tutoring again in September when the boys go back to school, because I'll be home and with you guys every day. But now I'm feeling bad and I really want to have some more duck classes. I don't know. It's just an idea. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, because I don't know if I got time right now. But I'm just pondering, thinking out loud. I want to work a schedule where I only work 3 days a week. Me too. I mean, seriously, I can't imagine how some of these guys are paying for daycare or whatever with their kids. Our school district, how can you have kids only in school 3 days a week? How are parents getting to work and being there by 8 and working till 5 or 6 because they, lunch hour, and then are they just having to pay for tons of daycare? What's going on? Are all these teenagers roaming around town unsupervised? What's going on? Why is that a thing? We went 5 days a week when I was in school. I mean, I sound like an old millennium or whatever, but it's just, how is that preparing my lazy teenagers anyway for what real life is? They go to school 3 days a week? Oh my gosh. I don't have to worry about daycare either. I'm home, but I can't get anything done with them here either. I'm hungry. I can't find this. Where's this? What's that? Aw, thanks, Samantha. What do you guys think the answer is for this one? This one was tough. The first one I tried to do this one was rough. Y'all got it. B is easy. Y'all knew that one. I hate their rationale. That just absolutely helps no one right there. All right, what about this one? Two of my kids are at the river right now swimming, and then Travis at cheer practice. He ought to be coming home pretty soon. Let me see if I got a message yet. There we go, Samantha. I got your message. Okay. I see it now. I've got a hookup for a study guide. It's legit, but you know, it's in a gray area, but it's legit. So anyway, I just thought I'd give you that information so that you can get one. Because everything in it is super helpful. Getting down what's in Medicare Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D, written in your book, getting every little thing that they have in their little study guide is super helpful. Any of the practice exam questions, you'll notice some of the familiar areas that are in the exam. They're also inside their study guide. So stuff that they talk about, like the NCCI and what 0 means or what 1 means or what 9 means, write it in your book. I use it right before any of that, you know, E&M section. Anytime they give you an example of how you do a simple repair on the cheek and what would be the answer, write that in your CPT book near the codes where it affects. Here's another one where there's a complex repair. Measuring here to here on the right arm, what would be the answer? There's the answer. With the 59 modifier. Moving these details into your CPT book so that it's there to reference is super helpful. They also tell you what to highlight, what not to highlight. Super helpful per section. You can also move the exam questions. This is just literally everything that they test you on is what's inside their study guide. They even tell you about the 26 modifier, and they tell you about their testing techniques, and then they'll show you examples of how to use it with and without it, and you can just move those to the codes. That way you've got it. And what the answer will be for any kind of scenario. They've got it listed. It's crazy. It's very, very helpful. It's more thorough than their course is. For sure. Do they have the layers of the eye listed out in this thing? There used to be this question about the 3 layers of the eye. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? They ended up talking about this is like the front layer, this is the middle, and then this is the back side. So they just kind of split it up. I was just wondering if they had it in here somewhere. But it's one of those crazy questions that they ask. They tell you as soon as they start a new section, all these testing techniques, they're telling you what to mark as the different parts of the sections of the book inside the manual. Surgery time does not play a role in anesthesia time. They ask that question 9,000 times. But their study guide is super handy dandy. Super handy dandy. It's just a lot of info. What do you guys think is the answer? Yeah, that's my study guide. This is the one from 2019, but I know somebody who's selling one from 2023 that you can get, and I was just going to send the link. You can email me and I'll send you the link. They have several. And it's like $20 or something like that. So, all right. A is correct. Good job. Immunizations. The first thing you're going to do with immunizations is what? What has Jen taught you? Not John, my son, but Jen. What has Jen said? When you see that your question is going to be immunizations, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to look for a header because there is a header to immunizations. What's our header? Hey Yasmin, how are you doing? Good to see you. Perfect, Ada. That's great. The 2023 study guide still has the same exact questions as the 2019 that I've got. It's so funny. They did change one of the questions that I thought was really weird in one of these chapters. Which one was it? I was noticing the other day. Something like it was, we were in the cardiovascular section or something, but they changed the last question in cardiovascular to a hernia question or something. I was like, what in the world did they do that for? But many of their examples and stuff are still the exact same questions. They don't update it very often. Only when there's a guideline or a needed reason. Yep, there is a header in immunizations. And the header for immunizations, what book am I in? So I'm in the 2023. Okay. I'm in the 2023 and we're going to go to right here. The immunizations and vaccine and toxoid page. We have two different administration codes in immunizations. They're either the 90460s or the 90471, 72, 73, and 74. So two sets. This set up here, the 90460, is if the physician does counseling on the components of vaccines only. You got to tell them the risk of either getting the vaccine or not getting the vaccine, and each individual component of each vaccine has to be discussed with the patient or their guardian. If the physician just orders the vaccine and doesn't counsel them over every single component, then you're going to be using the 71, 72, 73, 74. That's the first thing you're going to look at this question. Well, the question's that way. Is look at your administration codes. They're usually the codes in the back end of the question, back here. And you can usually separate out the questions by whether they did counseling or whether they just ordered it. So we can eliminate two answers right away based off that issue. Did the patient receive counseling? Yes, we're in the medicine section. Page 722. it just says administration, so you know you're going to get rid of anything with counseling in it. So we're going to get rid of B and C. That makes the question a whole lot easier. The only difference is this code right there. Super easy. Breaks down these questions, makes them a whole lot easier. So always remember to have that. The other thing that I always have over here in my CPT book for is if our encounter is for vaccines, I have my diagnosis code for there. If my encounter is for a well child exam, I have my diagnosis code there. That way I don't have to open up the other book and I've already got them listed. Super handy. A is the answer. Looks like we've got two answers that start off with the same code. That's the first thing that I notice. Then I have one that's a 93 and one that's 92, but B and D start off with the same answer. So I'm going to go run to the 28190, see what's going on with that code. There's usually always a reason why they have the same answer written down twice. Direct your focus on those questions and answers before you start looking at any other answers. Look really strongly at the two answers that start off the same. There's usually nearly always a reason why. And that little difference is the reason. The difference between B and D Travis is coming home, so he's being really loud.
Mommy's here.
Yes. Don't touch me. Go
I
get
just
your
did.
shower, you nasty boy. Don't touch me with your school germs. Go
I
away.
need to poke him in the chest and tell him about this.
I am teaching a class. Goodbye. Bye. Mm-hmm.
See you tomorrow. He's coming over tomorrow.
Bye. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I didn't mean to trip over your shoe. But seriously, I see him. I'm poking him in the chest and I'm telling him about himself.
Who?
James Mike Oregon.
He needs more than a poke.
Oh, I know. Travis never said he lied, though. I didn't tell him the whole thing. But he was proclaiming James's innocence to fight for me today, and I'm like, he's not innocent, and I have it in text.
Shh.
So.
Goodbye. You need to be able to find it in your 2024 book. go look for the code 90471. It's a good code to be able to find. You'll need to be able to find it on your exam, on exam day. We're removing a foreign body. Sub-Q. Deep and complicated. Go get your shower, baby. What?
I love you with all my heart. You're my mom, and you have 2 sons. Mama just told me that he almost made you cry because you saw his text
I
messages.
know. He was being a
Why
boy.
didn't you tell me he was not being bored? He lied to you, and to the point where he made you cry and you didn't tell me?
He didn't lie to me. He was being a boy and saying
you know
boy
that I
stuff.
don't like seeing you cry or hearing you almost cry.
Get over yourself. And quit listening to that woman. She's just a drama starter. She loves starting drama. Gossip queens, I swear. Complicated, subcutaneous, or deep. We got our deep showing up. Sorry, I'm having to message them and fuss at them for telling Travis a bunch of crazy rumors. Who's going to go back to the cheer squad and tell them a bunch of rumors? All right. No gossip. D? Let's see. We do have D. Are we a G code for HitPix, or are we a CPT code? We've got the F41 in all the answers. Somebody sent me some practice exam questions that are coming up that they wanted to go over in our lesson. And I said if you sent me some questions or whatever and made our lesson plan, then you could get some free notes. Well, they sent me some of their questions from their course, and I'm shocked that they actually had to pay for these. But I also wanted to go over them and see what you guys thought the answers were, because it's interesting. Those are coming up soon. We are at a hospital. That may make a difference with this one. No mention of being interactive. When they're billing for a facility, Maybe that's when we use the G code. They get crazy with those. We've got the same diagnosis code on this one. The 98, 36, 34, 32. Face to face, 45 minutes. So that one should be easy. Should be just a time based. Yep. B. What about the biofeedback? We've done this one before. The EMG, 15 minutes, one-on-one with the patient. But we're at a facility. 2 answers with the same code. F or an R, or 2 answers with 2 CPT codes, or just 1. And again, we've got the R versus the F code. It's a symptom, not a diagnosis as to why, but a symptom of something else. Yep, Virginia. Yep. It's A. Here we go with the G's or the CPTs. We do have Medicare patient listed. But we're in the ER. Placed into observation at 10 a.m. Oh my Lord. We got end-stage renal disease. We discharge them in an hour. So if you don't have that cheat sheet in your 2004 book, you need to be sure and get that written in, because they have one that they added to the E&M section in the 2024 book that I really like, but it's not in the 2023 book about what do you code if it's less than 8 hours, more than 8 hours. This little chart, less than 8 hours, you build this stuff. More than 8 hours, you build this. Less than 8 hours if you have different dates, or more than 8 hours with different dates. What do you build? This little chart is handy dandy.
Tommy has become a member.
So we've got 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. So that is 11 hours of observation. Another great example for your CPT book. Observation Medicare equals G0378, but then also having some examples of what it looks like when you have it. Like an example for Medicare, patient observation for 4 hours. What would it look like if they're in there for 11 hours? All that is super helpful. We needed D, the big dog one. Do I have my hours off? How many hours is that? 10 a.m. Yeah. That's right. There's 12 hours in a day. I don't know where my math was. 12 hours plus one more is 13. My math was way off. So we're billing for the ER visit, the 13 hours of observation. Then the dialysis, We got an 86 or an 80. One diagnosis or two. Intracranial. We've got arteries. We've got bilateral. $86 or $80? Hey Tamlin, good to see you. Thanks, Pearlie. You're welcome. We're going to work on some practice questions that who did we get? Who did we get? We got Ada, Samantha, aw, Carmen, Brittany, Saber. Awesome, guys. D is correct. Good job. Allergist. Rapid desensitization of penicillin. 3-hour session. We're going to be a 2.5, a 3.2, a 47, or an 80. Lord Travis. Is that his background? That is just terrible. Kids and the way they pick their backgrounds is just terrible. Why do they want to be so rude? No, they're deleted. Trying to delete them. What do you guys think? Good night, Patrice. I've been trying to get them to start at 5:30 each night, Arizona time zone, so that y'all don't have to wait so long for me to get on. So it's 7:30 now. We've been on for 2 hours. Everybody get B? No one got B on this one. What did we do wrong? It is, how would we be able to tell? A low level, it's for a facility to bill, and it's not for an MD or a doctor's office to bill, so it's for a facility. So that tells you G code, and you know if you're going to do an E&M visit, which is what that G code is, with a procedure, then you've got to have your 25 modifier. Irregardless, C and D are wrong because they don't have the modifier, and you just need to know if you're billing for a facility and not a doctor's office, then you're billing B. That's why COC stuff is hard. About this one, we're going to have an infusion. How long is it? 35 minutes. Followed by a flush. So how do we do a 35-minute infusion? Anybody get C? Yeah. Easy peasy. We're almost. This is the one from the girl that sent me these from her school. So this is the start of the very first one. I have the answer for this one. Which method or drug is not used to create permanent nerve blocks? Anybody know? So weird, Travis. Demerol. Everybody get Demerol for that one? This is the one that I'm like, why? I don't understand. But is code 277.0 a diagnosis code, a reimbursement code, a claim code, or not a current code at all? Yeah, Demerol's for pain. it's actually an ICD-9 code. You may run into those in the office if you're doing reconciliation or fixing claims here in the United States, but technically it's A. It is an ICD-10 code. And in ICD-10, cystic fibrosis is now code E84, and when we move over to ICD-11, which is this year or next year, the code is going to be CA25.0. Anyway, I don't know why they would be asking them this question, but the real interesting one is this one. Do you notice anything about the answers before we get to the case? What can you see that's going on with the answers? Yeah, well, B and D, aren't those the same exact answers? And then how can you bill a procedure and an office visit in the same day? And the note that they gave us is an office visit because they're in the office, and the plan is to do a hernia, and they asked us to bill for the 15th. Well, how can you bill a procedure when you didn't do a procedure? And if this is going to be a decision for surgery, they weren't in the ER. This was in a doctor's office. Well, that's just called a pre-op visit, right? And you don't bill for a pre-op visit when you're going to be billing for a surgery when you do it. But you can't bill it for this day. So I'm like, this is a school question? it's got duplicate answers, and then every answer they give us would be incorrect anyway. You can't bill for a surgery you didn't do. That's just fraud. So, I don't know. Maybe y'all see something that I don't. But they asked us to bill for Dr. Bruce patient on the date of service, which is 8/15. Well, he was in the office seeing a patient, and they discussed having a surgery, but anyway, that was weird. I did pull down what AAPC says about inguinal hernias. They have a nice section wrote up about them in their Knowledge Center. They define it, and first you have to decide, did you do it open or laparoscopic? They tell you the steps, so that's cool. And then you need to know if it's reoccurrent or the first time that it's happened. Then if they're open cases, you know they're separated by age. And then if you've got really young ones, you've got another separation. And then if they're premature, another separation. And then they had some bundling details, which I thought might be important to have down. And then older patients versus the younger patients. There might be some variations in the way they fix things. And then all bets off for sliding hernias. I don't know what that is. Never heard of that before, so I put that down. I just thought it was cool. This was their last question that she sent me. I didn't even look up the answer to this one. I didn't have time. So, 710 or 712. Let's go see what our differences are for these. 710. Oh, 20. Are they still codes? Do we still have those somewhere? Do we still have those, or those got changed? 71250 I can find. That's a CT of the thorax. 710? Anybody see a 710 somewhere? Or am I blind? I don't see it either. So these are deleted codes probably. But this is somebody's school that she's getting graded and basing her scores on their exams to see if she's fit for taking a CPC exam. And these are the examples she sent me. And I have issues with all 4 of them. I'm like, what is this? They did do, what? A chest x-ray of the upper lobe mast. A CT scan of the chest showed this, that, and the other thing. A repeat of the CT scan showed none of this. Who am I billing for? For what? Patient is in good health for attempting a surgical resection. A needle biopsy is done, showed cancer, postoperative, subsequent workup is now being consideration for this. Who am I billing for today? I don't even have a physician's signature or anything, so I don't know. Assessment means they got cancer of the lung. Out of my options, I guess we're billing for the repeat. What? Over here, the repeat CT, I guess. I don't know. But a chest or thoracic area, would we add, we would not add the 50 modifier to, but if the doctor performs it himself and not the radiologist, right, then we can do the 26 modifier. But I just, yeah, bless her heart who sent these to me. I would have a hard time gauging whether I was ready for a CPC exam on these examples. Anyway, I was hoping I wasn't crazy. But maybe you guys can see something that I don't. Out of the options available, I'm assuming we're just doing A. Yeah, it's super tiny. We have another facility one. This one is doing a direct treatment on the patient's back and legs for 30 minutes. Patient has spinal stenosis of the lumbar region. The therapist remains in constant attendance. So that's helpful. So are we doing a 971 or are we doing a 970? Those are probably under different headers. We did 30 minutes. Direct ultrasound treatment. I got 1A. Let's look again at the 97035. Would we do, and the first thing I see is this would be 3 procedures. This would be 2, this would be 1, and this would be 2. All right. 97165 A. 97165. God, they're all over the place. Six five. It's going to be on 864. There we go. And that one is under what header? That one is under physical therapy evaluations. If we go to the 97035, what header are we under for that one? We're under therapeutic procedures, right? Maybe? Yep. No, that's 75. 70. I need 70. There you go. Yep. Get those headers before the descriptors. What about 971, 65, 66, 67, 68? Right in a row. Good. 866. And what did we do? Occupational therapy evaluation. We did 3 performance defects. Brief history. Moderate. What do you think? Just match the moderate with the moderate. That's easy. Easy peasy. A. You see where the moderate is in its descriptor? It's 4 words into its descriptor. What about 989s? We've got the 70, 71, and 72 all in a row. And then we just need to convert to minutes. 989. 989. 70, 71, 72, 73. We just need to look at our minutes. 5 to 10 minutes is one more. A, right? Because 70 is 5 to 10 minutes. 71 is 11 to 20 minutes. and 72 is 21 minutes. What about same area? Which one is good for non-physician healthcare professionals? What if a non-physician was doing this? For 15 minutes. Still got 39 likes. That's awesome. Yes, indeed. We've got B again. Which one would service? No. 89872 covers how many minutes? Yes. C, 21 minutes. Perfect. And who can report online medical evaluation 98970 through 72? Physicians only, non-physicians, pharmacists, or patients? Yeah, because patients get to bill stuff too, right? That's funny. B, yep, non-physicians. Easy peasy. Which of the following situations is covered by the online medical evaluation codes? Is it the first time consultation, answering online inquiries, in-person medical evaluations, or telephone consultations? Which one of the following situations is covered by an online medical evaluation? The first time a consultation with a new patient, answering online queries from an established patient's parent, an in-person medical exam of an established patient, or telephone consultation with an established patient. All you got to do is match this word with one of them that says online. All about word matching. Which of the following statements is true under Medicare policies for incident to billing? Is it services may be provided in an institutional setting? Services must be performed under general supervision, or provided services must be represent an expense to the physician under whom the service is billed? A phone consultation with a supervising physician meets the basic requirements of incident to billing. Oh, what a terrible question. This is one of those that just kind of slows you down during the exam. We've got two that start off with the word services. Two that end in the word bill. We are doing billing. And two of them do end in billing, so still don't see a correct answer in chat. Which of the following statements is true under Medicare incident to billing? Will Medicare Provide any services for institutional settings. Services must be performed under general supervision. I don't know. Doesn't really sound like a Medicare thing. Provided services must be represent an expense to the physician under whom the services are billed, or a phone consultation. No one with Medicare gets consultation. We're not even going to entertain that one for any reason. I don't think they pay for institutions, and I don't think they care much about supervision either. So, see? The expense has to be related to the physician whom is doing the services. Indeed, C. Crazy. All right, let's end this with an E&M question. Everybody can get this one right. Look at your differences between your codes. What are your headers in all of these? We've got 99231. Is that subsequent? What is that? (99231). Subsequent hospital. So is the 2. The 5. 235 is observation, and 38 is discharge, right? All right. What's our patient status? There you go. Everybody can get that one right. Good job. It is a discharge. Not bad. And that is it. That's all I had prepped for today. I hope these were helpful. I hope the explanation in the beginning about the headers in these chapters is super informative. Let y'all know what's been going on, how those differences in those headers can really help you out during your exam. Don't miss out on, even the little black headers are super important. Some of these are like, here I'm in the nervous system around code 61580. These are super cool because they have a little black header where 61580 all the way to 61586 are all done anteriorly, where 61590 is all done middle down to 92, and then our 61595 are all done posteriorly. And if you're only looking from one code, and just looking at the descriptors, you might not notice those little headers ahead of time, and that'll help you eliminate stuff really, really fast.
Hey, Mommy, do you think possibly maybe this weekend or tomorrow you could order Little Caesar pizza?
Yeah, I'm starving.
I know it's expensive, but
I'm
we haven't had it in a while.
starving.
And I really want some garlic
I'm
stickers
hungry
and
too.
some-
I'm starving. Are you hungry? I'm hungry.
Can you maybe order Little Caesars tomorrow?
Maybe. Aren't you leaving me tomorrow?
No, I'm staying.
That ain't what Mel said.
Mama doesn't know.
Oh, I'm hungry now. I want some pizza now. I hope this is super helpful. Be sure and clear your headers before your descriptors. No matter what section you're in, even in the E&M section, that will help out a whole bunch before you just go from code to code. Because the exam, you won't be able to pass if you only know the differences between your codes. You got to know your differences between your headers in the sections. That will get you over that 70%. mark if you can absolutely tell that your procedure might be going through the urethra, but what are you actually repairing? It's in the bladder, so you need to be over here in the bladder section. That's super important, is figuring out what body part is actually getting fixed. If you're repairing both the urethra and the bladder, there's a code for that. But everything before it is only repairing the bladder. And then the only ones that are only repairing the urethra are the ones from here on. So, urethra repairs here, bladder repairs here, and then there's combo if you're doing both. So knowing those headers will get you to pass. Super helpful. No matter whether you're in musculoskeletal, anywhere, they're all divided by headers. And knowing if you're under which one, super helpful. Anyway, guys, I will be around this weekend. I don't have any plans, but working on the website and taking Travis to practice and stuff. Maybe doing a little scootering. I got to order another part for the scooter, but I'll be around. Maybe I'll be able to go live on TikTok or here on YouTube. I know definitely I'll be back on TikTok on Monday, and I need to put out some more videos. I need to do some more instructional videos that are smaller, so I'm going to work on some of that too this weekend. Be sure and email me anything that you would like me to go over, any codes that you're having issues with. Send me some ideas on what y'all would like to have created, and that gives me direction on where to go. I hope this is helpful. Love you guys. I'm super proud of you, and congratulations to those that passed. Is that Pearly? She passed today? That was great news. That's awesome to have heard. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys later. Good night. Good night, good night, good night. Thank you guys for all the love. Let's give out another membership to anybody that's still hanging around. And I am going to go eat because I'm starved. Forgot to eat today. Who got it? Who's still hanging out? Kelly did. Awesome. I hope that helps. Great go-kart. No worries. I'll see you guys later. I hope this was helpful.